all artists, filmmakers, are given complete autonomy without compromise to carry out their vision, like Dario Argento has with his cinema. Given complete autonomy, it crossed my mind to perhaps place a blind man here at this piano, or a doe-eyed starlet up here on this balcony with perhaps a pair of leather gloves behind her reaching out. Maybe intense high-key lamps behind these curtains here to maybe a murder of crows to fly in and join us here for this master class. This scene would be a set piece. It would exist in Dario's world. And for the time being, we just perhaps imagine this, imagine the tones, the shadows, and the allegory on our own. I'm just here to play the part of an amateur detective, a common trope, the American artist visiting Italy or Iceland, trying to unravel a master of cinema. Dario Argento was born into the world of film and art. His mother was a photographer, and his father was a prolific film producer. As a child, his life was oscillating between the photography studio and the cinema. He began his career quite early as a film critic, writing for a daily newspaper in Rome. And at the young age of 20, he was asked to write a screenplay for spaghetti western king Sergio Leone, penning Once Upon a Time in the West. And this was really quite well received. He continued writing, and in 1970, his first screenplay, A Bird with Crystal Plumage, made it to the big screen. Wanting complete autonomy and not confident that another director could realize his vision, he decided to make this his directorial debut. This was a huge success. He wrote in a particular vernacular known as giallo. Giallo means yellow in Italian, and it gets its name from the supermarket pulp fiction popular penny murder mystery whodunits that you would find at the supermarket, written by Agatha Christie or Arthur Conan Doyle. It was called the giallo because the Italian publisher printed the covers of these books in yellow and reserved the romance novels for blue. Although Dario was not the first to bring the giallo to the big screen, his name became synonymous with the genre as he perfected the language and aesthetics of the giallo over the past 40 years. Why was this popular? In the 1960s and 70s, in rural Italy especially, cinema was cheap. It was a social outlet, especially for the working class. Audiences went to the cinema as part of routine rather than selecting certain movies, a bit like today's television audiences. They would go to the cinema after dinner without a particular film in mind or without a starting time, and the film began when they arrived at the cinema. And if they arrived mid-picture, they would socialize, have a chat, a drink, and sit and wait for the picture to begin again where they entered. The cinema was a social event. In order to provide content to fill these theaters 7 days a week, the Italian film industry was at full steam, cooking up this filler of spaghetti westerns, gritty cop dramas, and the giallo. The typical tropes of giallo, its fundamental influence is in the mystery. Usually an amateur detective, a tourist, an American, or a British person visiting Italy, a creative type, cosmopolitan, would play an amateur detective. We would see our killer with black gloves, black overcoats, disguised gender. The giallo is expressionistic, and it concerns itself with the breakdown of the rational and the real. Baroque violence and stylistic excess are paired with the suspense of the paperback whodunit, but it shifts the focus from the resolution of the crime to the crime itself. At worst, the giallo challenges our standards of good taste. But what makes Dario Argento's films so widely popular in Italy were their approachability. This was not the cerebral cinema of the neorealist. This was unpretentious entertainment loaded with pop sensibilities and cultural references. His dreams or nightmares were presented without compromise. He had complete autonomy, complete and total freedom. His films became pop themselves, influencing a string of contemporary artists, filmmakers, musicians today. And his films managed to bridge the gap between high art and pure kitsch, and really push the boundary between the thriller and the horror. Horror is nothing new to Italy. Its culture is steeped richly in tragedy, opera, theater, the fine arts. Caravaggio was a murder painting on the run in Italy. The language of Dario Argento takes root perhaps back to Poe, German Expressionism. His fantastic and haunting visions are informed by painting, sculpture, and architecture, as you see referenced in his cinema. He creates a rapport between the murderer and the spectator, and he makes the violence beautiful. He arouses the sublime. As the audience sat socializing in the Italian rural theaters, the films of Dario Argento were able to grab the half-alert audience's attention through the combination of oral and visual signs, like a heavily stylized Baroque nightmare. He was a master at creating these set pieces. In film production, a set piece is an integral scene to the overall dramatic structure of a film, a transition or a climax of the film whose production requires serious logistical planning and a considerable budget of the film. Dario's plots are constructed around these such set pieces, highly stylized, appropriate architecture and geometry, and they usually involve blood. These sequences are like movies within movies. They're generally filmed high and wide, lingering in the master shot more than just a beat or two, but as a crescendo. They're spectacles in themselves, much like dance numbers in a musical, with high production design compared to the rest of the picture. His murder sequences are protracted. They're longer than needed to further the plot along, but they're just long enough to reel the audience in and to test their endurance before their attention wanes. Emphasis was placed almost completely on the set piece, like an opera. The prosaic dialogue that the actors deliver between just stitch together the fantastic set pieces, and it offers the film a chance to breathe, a chance for the audience to contemplate or digest what they just witnessed, and it allows the audience to resume socializing. Dario really provided us with this purely visual cinema, uncluttered with dialogue, but like a great musician, he understood the decrescendo. He knew how to read his Italian audience, and he knew when they were ready to resume socializing. But he also knew when to subject them to just a little bit more emotion by sustaining a certain note. His economy of sound, his use and absence of sound are also signatory. He really takes an active role in the scoring of the soundtrack of each film. His tempos are rhythmic, and if you're a musician, you can probably identify the time signatures and pacing in his films. Simple melodies are repeated over and over again, building up tensions. The music video, the contemporary music video, owes quite a lot to Argento, who, by painting a purely visual scene for 5 minutes in his films, uninterrupted music was reintroduced to a new generation, the art of pairing image with sound. Each film contains usually one or more of these instances, usually a crescendo leading towards another elaborate set piece. I'll show you a few images to show you those that are maybe not familiar with Dario's work, the idea of the set piece. We start here with his first film, Bird with Crystal Plumage. And this is where our American character is looking in. Quite interesting to start the film with this, observing a crime of sorts taking place, and he finds himself trapped between two doors in an art gallery. We see this quite often in his films, drawing reference to art. I'm not exactly sure the painting, but it reminds me quite a bit of a violent scene maybe hidden in the back of a Bruegel painting. We see a lot of the point of view shots of the murderer himself. Black gloves are synonymous with his films, and usually he's the one wearing the black gloves in the picture. And the film ends full circle with him back in a very similar position like this. We now move on to Profondo Rosso and to show a few of the set pieces, scenes here. For example, here we reference an Edward Hopper film, Nighthawks. So you see these really elaborate locations and geometry and architecture play a real important role. We come now to one of his, his masterpiece, Suspiria, where we begin with our character, young American female coming to Germany to the Black Forest to study at a dance academy. The references I see here, we have a real striking, rich color palette, which seems to come from Technicolor, and especially Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs from Walt Disney in 1937. Using the same process, the same three-strip color printing process, these colors and tones were achieved in the film. And by separating the filter from the printing process, these colors bleed together, becoming hyper-real. Here we see a bit of a reference to German expressionism. Perhaps it's a Rorschach witch, I'm not sure. But what's interesting is we have the use of color in these previous scenes, but we come to this scene and we have an absence of color. And out of all that lighting, perhaps this was the most complicated of all set pieces in the film. We're taken to Königsplatz, a place where Hitler delivered many terrible speeches, and we witness this violent scene unfold, but color is used so sparingly and so economically that it becomes very powerful. We see these colors emphasized. We see our Sleeping Beauty here, and our colors emphasized like buckets of paint thrown onto them. Which is a consequence of removing these filters in this Technicolor process. The killer's point of view, and this use of just the primary colors here, bathing her in blue, red, green, and offering just this little bit of yellow, orange, this window, this place of escape. But speaking of escape, I think I'll turn it over to the master himself to come up and speak a bit more about his films. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dario Argento to the stage.
So, yes, we would like to welcome you here to this masterclass, and welcome to Reykjavik. There will be questions from the audience, but I would like to start with asking you, Mr. Argento, as we heard here in this, what he was saying, Ryan was saying here, that you started up as a screenwriter and you worked with Sergio Leone and Bernardo Bertolucci on Once Upon a Time in the West. Could you tell us a little bit about that collaboration?
Yes, it was many years ago. I was very young, and Sergio Leone was also already famous, important, but he wanted to change something in his career, and then he tried to find somebody to this changement, because also for the first time in his life, in his career, he wanted to use a woman like a lead of the film. It was Claudia Cardinale. Then he chose me and Bernardo to write the film, because he is not so familiar with the women character. And it was very important for us for me and for Bernardo to work with Sergio. Our career changed dramatically after this. I remember it was important because Sergio was don't speak about the story, dialogues. He speaks only images. He says camera comes and camera goes, just the movement, the camera. I understand for the first time how important it was camera in the cinema, how so fundamental. The movement, it's geometric, the invention. The camera, it's like a pencil for a writer. It's something, instrument, really important, and was so important. I don't follow exactly the style of Sergio, because the style of Sergio is flamboyant, it's spectacular, like this. For me and Bernardo too, we have another conception of the cinema. I remember. We remember sometimes we have a discussion about the Nouvelle Vague. Me and Bernardo, we admired a lot Nouvelle Vague, like Godard, René, but he didn't like that. Then also another. He didn't like Antonioni, Michelangelo Antonioni. For me, it was master, super master. Inspired all my films in the same of the expressionism, German expressionism, and Ingmar Bergman too. It's very important for me. And of course, the master Alfred Hitchcock. But for Sergio was different. He liked others. He liked Ford. Me too. I like Ford, of course, but it's not for me the idol.
Mm-hmm. So you were you were planning to go more into the direction of like suspense and horror. Because shortly after you make your first directorial debut. which is the bird with the crystal plumage.
Yes.
And I suspect the audience here, they want to ask you more about that, you know, the Giallo films you made. So I want to ask the first one from the audience, Mr. Paul Oscar here. He wants to ask you the first question from the audience. Yes. Here you are.
Well, my first question is, thank you. Can you hear me? I'm really curious to know, because the speaker here before, he spoke about the set pieces, music, art direction, wardrobe. How much are you in control or involved in the filmmaking process when it comes to wardrobe, art direction, set pieces, music? Where do you let go?
Yeah.
Where do you come in and where do you let go?
I was involved in all process in films, of course, in the music and art direction, in location, also the construction, in the screenplay, because I was a screenplayer, especially my obsession was the art. I was a fan of the sculpture, of the architecture, especially architecture is follow the master Antonioni, because Master Antonioni was architect before, and then we'll see in the films of Antonioni the architecture, marvelous invention. I try to follow the same way, and I spend a lot of my time of my life in the museum, to watch very famous paintings. And I do also one film. It was the Standard Syndrome. It's all about the obsession of the art. It's very, for me, follow the Freud when he write, you know, when I fall down in Parthenon, Freud, and I take this idea because me too. When I was a child, I was in the Parthenon with my parents. I completely stoned in this place. I don't know why, because this is normal, but no, because we have a small theater, and in this small theater, Euripides, Sophocles, and we have the famous drama and sculpture, Phidia, everything. It's my mind becomes crazy. I understand what Freud says.
So, more questions from the audience? Yes, here is. Yeah, okay.
In your film Profonto Rosso, there's this painting in mirror of where the first murder happens. I was just wondering, what is that painting and why did you choose it?
The painting I inspired by a famous painter from Italy, but you don't know the painter. This is it's strange, macabre a little bit. I think she collected all these paintings, and I try to put in the paintings also my actor. No, he enters in the painting and becomes part of the painting, and to understand exactly what it was my idea. Also, I constructed on the square I do the opera, one of the famous opera, no, Night Shift. Why? Because I want to. This is for me is an indication. What's my idea of the films? It's hyperrealist, you know, it's something to understand. If you want to understand, you understand. If you don't want to understand, it's okay, because this is a symbol, something. The film is symbol. The film it's a dream, because every director dreaming, every film, comedy, and it's a dream. It's a dream in the mind of the director, and the dream is so important in our career, director career. I inspired by my dreams for my films, for my dreams and my nightmares, of course. But it's very important for me to dreaming. Also, sometimes you don't understand exactly the story. It's because the dreams is not exactly. It's not you don't dream like a tale. You dream some part, you know. I try in my films to reproduce the dreams, our dreams, our. No, sorry, more.
Okay, more questions from the audience? Yeah. Yep.
Hi, Marty. Do you have like a certain pattern to prepare for a film, or after you get the script, or do you collect visuals? How do you like put yourself together to prepare for each film? I'm sure it's not the same, or do you find yourself having a pattern? No.
C'è una procedura per ogni film, sempre la stessa, prima di approcciare un nuovo film, oppure c'è una metodologia, un pattern ripetitivo nel suo magari collezionare dei visual, guardare delle mostre, poi, oppure è spontaneo ogni volta?
No, I think it's something repetitive, no?
It's repetitive, yeah.
It's repetitive, yes. Repetitive. Yes, before do films, I go to see some museum, no, so to inspire, because when you are in the museum, it's something important that comes from the paintings in your mind. You become. I remember when I shoot the Stendhal syndrome. I shoot in Galleria de Uffizi in Florence, very famous. We have the masterpiece of the Italian paintings, also not Italian, also everywhere. And we have a privilege to shoot. We are the only one possible to shoot in this gallery. We shoot the night, because the day we have the people goes. It's impossible to close the gallery, and we shoot the night. And when we shoot in a room like this with many paintings, no, then I goes in other rooms to see some others to other inspiration. It was dark. It was not light. It was dark. With a battery. It was very chilling, because when I light to the face of the Michelangelo, look at me, and some others, you know, some famous paintings. Look at me. It's like look at me. Really. It's the paintings are in front of me. It's here, the real story. And I remember I was very very stoned to this night spent on the gallery. And I understand many things, I remember. One time, also for this film, I was in Paris, to Louvre. And I want to see the reaction of the people in front of the painting, the famous painting. And it was Gioconda, of course. And I have a small chair, no, and I was with the back on the painting, and I watched the people. I watched the people, and someone passed, is nothing important. And this for some days, I want to some picture to have. And at the moment, the police comes and attract me. It was very short. And then like a criminal. Yes, I goes to the I don't know why, what's happened to me. You know? He think he was a vandalist. He try maybe, you know, I don't know. I try to you know, I'm the director, I'm film director. It was very long. And then he says, don't do it again. What? What I do? Nothing. I watch the people. Just this. Okay.
So maybe more questions from the front bench. Yes, you?
Me?
Again?
Well, I'm wondering, I've been watching a lot of horror movies in my time and life, and I feel like I've seen everything. So I'm wondering, in your opinion, what is the purpose of horror, or the purpose of horror films for us today? Is there any purpose, or are we going to see any more milestone horror films that really affect the whole of society? You know? Do you have a comment on this? Have we seen everything?
Lui ha visto un sacco di film gialli, si chiede qual è il vero scopo del film giallo, qual è l'effetto nella società e se può indicare qualche film giallo o contemporaneo che ha un effetto sulla società.
Yes. Okay. Two ends. Okay. Okay. The first, I think fundamental. The horror films are the possibility to shake people, to the people don't live in too comfortable in this you know, society. Yes, we have problems, of course, the economic problem, but the life is, but it's not true, because the life is something more. We have something more. I understand reading the Edgar Allan Poe. We have something behind our life, normal life. We have something important. Some. When the first time I read the Edgar Allan Poe, I was very young. I understand we have ghosts, enormous figure of people, so strange, so different, and I want to. This is my purpose, to shake people, no, from this on the chair. You are on the chair, you watch, and you follow you jump in another world. This is a world, my world of my dreams, of my nightmares. And the second one.
And the second one, quali sono I film gialli al momento che hanno questo effetto sulla società?
I think at the moment I think some films come from France and from Spain in Europe, are very, very interesting. But few, not so much. The most, for me, the most important come from the Orient, from the South Korea, from Japan, from Hong Kong, Taiwan. He discovered after many years. He discovered a new way to make film, horror films. Again with the psychology, with something not just for commercial, because now the American films, horror films, are commercial. The most are remake the old films. The most 3 times they remake, because in America now the important it's the bankers, money, and the producer he wants just the money. He don't want to film good films, film something artistic. No, this finish. It's finished. And for this, because banker, because they are the owners of the the studios. No? But no, the film come from the South Korea, especially, and he have some psychology interesting inside, something very deep. It touch your profound. I like very much this.
So you're actually saying that those Asian films now they're maybe having the same effect as the Italian films had in the 70s.
Yes, yeah, I think also many of these. I met some people in Asian. I'm very famous in Asia because my films are very diffused in Asia, and I discovered many directors inspired by my films.
Yes.
Yes, before was others the inspiration. Now the most are inspired by my films, and I was in South Korea and in Japan many times, and I speak with the directors. It's very good person, very fine person, very artistic person. Yeah.
More questions from the audience? Yes.
Hi. I was wondering if you would maybe talk a little bit about the color scheme in your film Suspiria and the psychological effect you were trying to have on the audience there with the use of color.
Yes. I want to tell the story, the color. It's a long story. It's a story very adventurous. Because when I have an idea to do the Suspiria, I would like to have colors of the old Technicolor, like John Ford, you know, the color of the marvelous color, blue, red, and also the Walt Disney color, marvelous, like he show the black, the white
snow. White snow?
White snow, yes. And then me and the direct DP, we try to find how it's possible, because the engine for this don't exist anymore. Exists just in China. And we try to find one print very old, because today it was too sensible. And if your sensibility, it's okay, but the colors is not anymore. No, so deep, so important. We need the print with the gelatin, big, lots of gelatin, yes, with the sensibility of the 40. For this reason, many actors of the 30 and 40, it becomes blind because they needs too much light on the face. In one close-up, we have an enormous light, yes, because the print was not so sensibility, but we have also the possibility to see the perspective and different color on the face. It's marvelous. We found in the laboratory in the United States very few meters of the print old. We buy old, but we not so much. And then we have a problem to shoot, and we rehearse a lot the scene. For this reason, the film was so long to shoot, because we rehearse when it was exactly, we shoot 1-2 times maximum and then finish, because we have not print enough for the film in other case. And then we try to find with the three matrici, I don't know what's the name in English, three band with three color, fundamental color, no? And then we mix these three colors, red, blue, and yellow. Yes. We mixed and then the effects of the films is because we have a possibility to change the color. Today it's possible with the digital to change the color. Yes, but the color digital it's a fake. It's not the natural, because the print, the original print Kodak, it comes from the water, from the woods. Today, no. Today it's something. It's electronic, and of course the color, electronic color, is not like the real. It's something the engine invented for us. But okay, we are in the age of the digital. Okay, we are we stay.
More questions? Okay, lady.
I was wondering, because you came onto the scene with a very distinctive style, and you went to push technical boundaries forward. And at the same time, you seem, in hearing, to be very much inspired by things of the past, Renaissance art, and all the way up to Hopper and ancient lore. But are you inspired by things that have come after your career started? And are there recent movies you like?
Lui dice che il suo stile è molto distinto e molto sperimentale, però allo stesso tempo è stato influenzato da referenze nel passato, rinascimentali, paintings. E ci sono delle nuove referenze a cui si ispira, nuovi film, nuovi pezzi d'arte più contemporanei.
Yes, of course. Yes, because also the art change, and I inspired now by many others influence. This is it's difficult to exactly say what inspired me, but one time I have experiment the dogma. Do you know dogma? Dogma. I experiment dogma in my film Card Player with the Belgian DP Benoit, and we we try to watch how it's possible to shoot without the light, fake light, you know, with the lamps, the projectors. You know, it's possible with real light today. You know, the experiment I do many. Maybe every film is an experiment for me. I try. If not, it's too boring to repeat the same things. Then I change it.
Okay, the lady over there.
Yes, I am quite amazed by the music in your films, and so I wanted to ask you about how important you find music to be in your films, and a bit about what is your process. Do you work very closely with the composers, or do you give them a lot of freedom? And yeah, just a little bit about music.
È molto interessata alla musica nei suoi film e si chiede se può darci qualche dettaglio su come collabora con i musicisti, come trova la musica, se gli dà della libertà.
Yes, the collaboration, me and my musicians, it's very important. They start from the beginning when I write a film. I write a film and I note also. I want in this place, in this point, I want this kind of music. And then when I finish to write and I try to choose the musician, I with this speak about what kind of music. And then when sometimes they compose music during a shooting. I remember when I was in Suspiria, I shoot some scene with the music, with the real music it was in the film after, because I think with the actors have more something like a little dance, you know, to follow this kind of music. Suggest the ideas of music. And of course, also with the card player, I shoot during with the music comes during a shooting. I like this. I don't like to finish a film and then put the film in the hand of the musician and then invent it. No, I don't like that. I like to be involved. And I work with many musicians, different. Also, sometimes with the Ennio Morricone, it's a great master, but he's too strong, too not so. I like more musician free, new influence. Yes, I born like a love music. You know, when I was very young, I love music. Music important, and I think if one day I do a films, I will try to change the way of music do for films.
And one very short question that I was asked to ask from a friend of mine, and this is about the story that when you're filming the murder scenes, and you used to me a leather glove, and you're doing it yourself. We read that somewhere, and I was wondering if it is true, and if it's true, then what is the reason? Thank you.
Yes, I understand. Yes, yeah, the gloves, the legend, famous legend of my gloves, my hands are killed the people. Yes, true. Yeah, yes, because I think I'm much more able than a stuntman, because usually you use a stuntman for do a knife or kill. I think I was much more able to. I tried to kill. I think I killed in my life more than 100 50 people.
More questions?
In your film Tenebrae, there's an extremely elaborate, uninterrupted tracking shot in the middle of the film. I think it goes for 2 or 3 minutes. Looks like this combination of cranes and bells, and I think it's before Steadicam even. And there's a music covering all of it. I'm just wondering what inspired something like that, such a grand gesture, and how did you convince the studio to do that?
Si chiede cosa l'ha ispirata in questo particolare pezzo del film e come ha convinto la crew a filmare in questo modo.
Yes, I use for this film, for this scene, the Luma crane. It's a famous French. Was the beginning, was the first time we used in the film the Luma crane, because I saw when I was a trip in France, I saw this Luma crane. Very, very complicated to use. We spent more than 3 days to shoot this, because I like was the center. It was the house of the 2 female. I like to go like the spirit of the killer. It's comprende tutto, così prende tutta.
Take in everything all together.
Yes, completely. Yes, with no cut. Just watch in every moment. Was the looking of the killer. It's something morbid, very morbid.
Have you ever had trouble financing your films, and how has that aspect of things changed over the years? Or do you not have much personally to do with financing of your own films?
Se c'è dei problemi finanziari.
Sì, e come riesci a risolverli?
Yes, everybody in Europe now have a financing problem. Also not only in Europe, also in the United States, except the blockbuster. It's difficult to do the films independent. It's very difficult. We try to have the collaboration with the other nations, like Spain, France, Germany. Every country puts some part of the money, and then it's possible to do a film. In other cases, it's very difficult today to make a film in Europe. In Asia, it's much more easy because the film is cost very, very few money, not cost very much. I don't know why, but it's this.
So we have to go to the final question. Who wants to ask the final question? This lady there is very suitable for the final question.
Hi, I wanted to ask you if you have an opinion in the fact that a lot of modern filmmakers are remaking old horror classics.
Si chiede qual è la sua opinione riguardo a questa nuova tendenza di remake classici da nuovi direttori.
Yeah, it's. I said before, it's because money, for just to make money. Because the owner of the studios, he think the screenplay no have new ideas, are dead. And then he try to find the old films, and then they remake 2, 3 times, 4 times. And the first times in the history of movie, we have one film, 5, 6 episodes of the same films, like Spider-Man, like like a Superman. Every year another episode of this is similar from the others. Someone is worse, but I say it's just for the target of the studios is to make money. And then they say, this film is very old, very interesting, maybe we remake, we try to do that. Also, now he remake my film Suspiria. He started in a few days. But they also are very villain, because they don't I don't know the director. Nobody speak with me. No, I don't read the screenplay. I don't know where we shoot. I don't know nothing. Like I don't know why this happened. Okay. I hope the film is not bad. Yes. The director says the only things I read in internet. The director says my film is psychedelic. What significant psychedelic? What signification? I don't know.
So that concludes our questions.